Let me know if the sound balance is okay. Vera is almost 9 months pregnant. Puppies are so cute. I know it's not the point of this video, but I can't, y'all. I can't. They're so cute. Vera woke up to make fire and melt the snow. It's so dark. Not the soup, just
Я бы чуть повыше.
Да, вот.
Oh, the baby is so cute. I can't. Oh, it looks very cold. So she is working, obviously doing a lot of manual labor way into her pregnancy, which is something that, you know, just has to happen if you live somewhere like this, and that's what you have to do. People have lived in these places and had babies in these places for thousands of years, and they, I'm sure, have different accommodations that they make for people when they're pregnant, but life has to go on, and, you know, that's how it happens. I don't know as much, obviously, about having babies there, but it says tundra women are not allowed to give birth in chum. I'm not even sure what chum means. Oh, it must be that dwelling that they're living in. So they're not allowed to give birth in here. So where do they give birth? Oh no, that is in a small, cold outbuilding? Can you imagine? Oh my gosh, I cannot imagine giving birth in the freezing cold outbuilding. According to their belief, I'm going to pause it there because, oh my gosh, that kid is so adorable. But the idea that childbirth is inherently unclean or needs to be hidden away is not an uncommon belief. Many cultures have that belief historically, and many of those beliefs carry over into current day practice. Even in, you know, places that are well developed, there are still kind of undercurrents of that. But I can't imagine having to give birth in the cold and not, I don't even know. I mean, it just seems like that would be also not good for the baby, but assuming they can come in after that, I don't know. The baby needs to stay warm, obviously. But again, as I said at the beginning, this is not our culture. We don't fully understand it, and people have been having babies here for thousands of years. So let's keep watching. I'll try not to interrupt it so much. She has 2 kids already. Not sure if this is the case. Oh, sorry, I'll take that off. Not sure if this is the case with everybody, but your audio is a bit desynced. Okay, that's good to know. I don't know how to fix it right now, and this is a short stream, but I will take note of that and see if I can look up how to address that later. I know our internet speed is great, but I don't know if there's something else to do to fix that. They work hard until giving birth. Vera's husband is doing his job with pregnant Vera is doing home chores. Feels well. Her first kid was born here in the tundra. And the second one in a hospital. That's interesting. I wonder why the first one would have been. It's generally safer and easier to have home birth with your, like if you're going to do that. A second pregnancy would be like, in the grand scheme of home births, generally second pregnancies are considered a bit safer as far as less likely to need intervention or have something go awry because you've already had a proven pelvis. It usually happens faster and a bit more smoothly. So it's interesting that they had their first baby in the nomad and then a second one in a hospital. It may be that they had just been living somewhere else, or maybe there was something going awry with the pregnancy. I'm not sure. They don't have any food restrictions. They eat raw frozen fish. And raw reindeer meat. Vera doesn't know that city women avoid even rare steak during pregnancy. Yeah, I think there's an inherent difference here, right? So the concern with raw fish and raw meats is that there's an increased risk of gastroenteritis, which can, in some situations, cause miscarriages. But it's very different if somebody who is only occasionally eating those things has that, like the risk of food poisoning, versus somebody who this is their primary dietary intake, and also they don't really have an option to avoid those things. So I think and someone said they probably kill and clean the animals themselves. That's correct. And yeah, it's very, very, very different than somebody living, in a city and eating things like that. That being said, I've also discussed this a bit on the channel as far as food restrictions in pregnancy and how most of the time these things are kind of just like a risk-benefit analysis, right? So there is a slight increased risk if you're eating raw fish. Is it high enough that it makes it likely that something will go wrong if you eat sushi while you're pregnant? No, I mean, it's still most likely that everything would be fine. It's just that if you're in a situation where you could easily avoid an increased risk without causing further increase of a different risk, then it makes sense to avoid, right? But if you're in a situation where you live in the tundra and this is your primary way of eating, then avoiding that means you change your diet completely and or you don't eat. So that doesn't make sense in a risk-benefit analysis situation. Thanks, Wesley. I'll look at that in a bit. Grandma is sewing traditional deerskin envelope. Oh my gosh, why is the grandma so cute? They are going to put the baby in it now. There's puppies everywhere. I'm dying. Oh my god.
Вот это что можно заметить.
I think having animal allergies would be very problematic there, where everything is made of reindeer skin and there are dogs everywhere. Husband is calling to doctor in a town. Tomorrow the helicopter should take Vera to hospital. She's having this baby in hospital. Oof, not in that. They aren't helicoptering anywhere in that kind of wide out. So living in New Zealand has given me an interesting outlook on this, because back in the States, it was fairly easy to transfer people to bigger hospitals or more equipped hospitals. Not fairly easy, I would say, in the grand scheme of things compared to other things we do in medicine, but fairly easy as compared to what I've experienced here. Aotearoa, New Zealand is quite rural comparatively, even where I live, although this is a big area for like hospital wise, it's still considered fairly rural, and a lot of our patients are very rural, so we often have to fly patients around. And if you've ever been here, Queenstown is a very popular kind of touristy destination, so they have a lot of amenities, so tons of restaurants, definitely way more to do than here, but they don't have like an ICU or a labor and delivery unit or anything like that. So any complex pregnancy issue that comes up for someone who can't deliver in a birth center or at home, they have to be flown here. And it can get really problematic, especially in winter, which it's winter right now, if the weather's really bad, because you can't helicopter in, especially over some of the rough terrain that we have here, in really bad weather. And if the weather's bad like that, you certainly can't drive. So it does get very complex, moving people around. But it looks like they're able to come and get her that day. I wish they'd explain why she's going to hospital though. Okay, so they are running into issues. They're going back to the There's no flying for 7 days. She's having contractions. Labor. Her auntie came to help. You will never hear Vera's crying. Tundra women never yell or cry during labor. This is a sign of weakness. It is interesting how different cultures treat making noise in labor. There are some cultures which seem to be quite a bit more vocal and positive about that, and some which tend to look at that with very negative light. And it's interesting how all of that kind of culture surrounding birth develops. I don't know a whole lot about it as far as which cultures develop various beliefs or actions around birth in regards to making noise, but it is interesting. There are very distinct differences that you can see that carry over even into practice, in my day-to-day life. I don't know if it's the animals. I would expect making noise would not attract predators, but scare them off, maybe. I don't know. Oh, baby. Small but beautiful baby girl was born. I love that the kid is just like a puffball in his pink jacket. It's so cute. Family's waiting for I want that job. I want to be the doctor that flies around to the tundra to check on people. That sounds fun.
Все, давай лячку сюда. Все на месте. Девчинка родилась. Хорошо? Да, девочка, девочка. 125 на 80. Да, совершенно верно. 3 килограмма. Она жирная, сильная.
Grandma says she is fat. 3 kg is 6.5 pounds, so small, but not as tiny as I thought initially when they pulled baby out and I could just see the feet.
Хорошо, сейчас на борту сделаем укольчик. Потихонечку пойдем. Сама ходить можешь? Родом, родом, да-да-да. Сейчас мы в родом. Так, девушка, курка, красивая, маленькая. Давай сюда. Вот. Давай на одеялко ее сюда. Одеялком сверху спрячь. Ложи.
Did it say something that I missed? Hang on.
Тундровая жизнь женщины.
Как у тебя дела? Все, давай лячку сюда. Все на месте. Девчинка родилась. Хорошо? Да, девочка, девочка. 125 на 80. Да, да, совершенно верно. 3 килограмма. Она жирная. Сильная, хорошо. Сейчас на борту сделаем укольчик. Потихонечку пойдем. Сама ходить можешь? Родом, да-да-да. Сейчас мы...
I don't know why they're taking them to the hospital now. It seems that everybody's doing quite well.
Так, девушка, курка, красивая, маленькая. Давай сюда. Вот. Давай на одеялко ее сюда. Одеялком сверху спрячь. Ложи.
Тундровая жизнь женщины, чем работница, очень тяжелая. Ты еще можешь работать? Могу. Ну, ты еще пока потерпи. Они не как вот мы, европейские люди. Ой, чуть-чуть заболели, обращаемся за помощью. А у них нет этой помощи, они, бедолаги, вот ждут. Ну, наша еще могла работать, она работала.
Look at all that hair. Oh, that swing is so cute. Oh my gosh, everything is so Well, that was super cute, and I don't know that I learned as much as I was hoping to learn. I was hoping that it would talk more about like what it's like to give birth there and maybe a little bit more dialogue, but yeah, interesting video. Yeah, you're right. Maybe they're just doing like routine newborn checks and things like that. I have no idea.